of boxing news out of the United Kingdom, where Callie Sauerland, the boxing promoter of Chris Eubank Jr., has confirmed for boxing fans that his deal is now dead in the water with respect to setting up a fight between Chris Eubank Jr., his fighter, and Conor Benn, I believe, out of Matchroom. Falls under the big whoopee-doo category of the week. Let's go down to some results now. Unbeaten super bantamweight Jose Tito Sanchez, 12-0, 7 knockouts. Scored a 10-round unanimous decision over Walter Santabanes. He's 12-3. And that took place the other night in the Fantasy Springs Resort Casino in California. Sanchez went 10 tough rounds with the rugged Santabanes, winning 99-91, 99-91, 98-92. Fair enough. Unbeaten middleweight Eric Priest, 12-0. Blew away Paul Mendez, who's now 21-5-2. In the first round, Priest dropped Mendez in round number 1 and got a referee stoppage with his follow-up barrage. That was at 2 minutes, 9 seconds of that first round. Good for him. Good stuff. In a clash of former heavyweight title challengers, Kubrat Pulev, 30-3, 14 knockouts, by the way, scored a one-sided 10-round unanimous decision over Andrzej Wawczyk. He's 34-3, 20 knockouts of his own on Thursday night, and that took place at the Hangar in Costa Mesa, California. Pulev pressed the action and kept a jab in his opponent's face while he fought as in spurts and usually moved in reverse. Pulev scored knockdowns in round 6 and round 8. Scores were 99, 89, 188, and 188. Obviously, a unanimous decision there. Wow, Pulev, 42 years of age, by the way. Previously challenged for the WBA, IBF, WBO belts against Vladimir Klitschko in 2014. Wow, it's a long time ago. Time flies, eh, boys and girls? Again, against Anthony Joshua in 2020. Whereas Wawczyk, he's 36 years of age, challenged Alexander Povetkin for the WBA belt in 2013. Former world title challenger, Mean Machine, Egidijus Kavaliauskas, 24-2-1, 19 knockouts, scored a third round knockout over Jose Morifo, 14-13-2 in a super welterweight fight. Kavaliauskas dropped Morifo in round number 2, but moments later, it was cut over the left eye by an accidental headbutt. Kavaliauskas dropped Morifo again in round number 3 to end it. Time was 2 minutes, 10 seconds. We had some press conferences, and I see there was a bit of a heated press conference between the flyweights, Bam Rodriguez and Sonny Edwards. Ahead of their unification battle taking place at Desert Diamond Arena over in Glendale, Arizona, USA, to be shown on DAZN. Jesse Rodriguez had this to say. I said yesterday, though that on social media he likes to talk, but in person he doesn't. If I don't want this fight, I wouldn't be here. I wanted it, and that's why we're here. I'm going to do to you like Julio Cesar Matiz did to your brother. My hand will be raised in victory, and I'm taking his belt, his 0, and it's time. Bam Rodriguez, unified champion on Saturday night. Sonny Edwards replied, the reason I laid off here was I know how hard it was to get you and your team to accept this fight. I didn't want this fight. Sorry, you didn't want this fight. On a Saturday night, you were going around like your brother retired. You had no heart for this. Everyone says game plan, but it all goes out the window when you can't lay a glove on me. Facts. I'm not worried about this kid. As far as flyweights go, it's going to be a good one. Undefeated WBA super middleweight champ and challenger Sena Agbeko, and I'll have more to say about this in a subsequent update story. Went face-to-face at the press conference with David Morrell Jr. David Morrell Jr. had this to say, when you disrespect me, you're going to suffer. When you talk like that to my face, it's time for punishment. I'm going to knock his ass out. In the 6th or 7th round, my Christmas present for him is going to be a knockout. I was ready for him in April, and I'm ready for him now. I'll show him and anyone who doubts me. It's going to be worse for him now. I'm better now than if we'd have fought in April. I'm taking him right now. Wow. Like I said, I'm going to have a chit chat with you about Sena Agbeko in a subsequent story, courtesy of BoxingScene.com. And this is with respect to Sena Agbeko not being able to fight, as was mentioned by Morrell last April, and that was because a neurologist had detected an aneurysm in his brain. So Agbeko was not allowed to fight back in April. So subsequent, let's follow the story here. It's important, and it's why I don't believe certain boxers should be able to make this decision on themselves. They should be listening to neurologists. They should be listening to medical professionals. Their careers are on the line. Their lives are on the line. And in particular, I've said this often, Deontay Wilder should step aside and not box anymore. And I do hope he survives his upcoming battle. But in the meantime, let's talk about the Ghanaian, Agbeko. Let's go back to April. A mandated medical exam a few weeks before the biggest fight of his career detected a saccular brain aneurysm. Suddenly, Agbeko was removed from a fight against heavily hyped Cuban southpaw David Morrell Jr., who is still undefeated, by the way. And that was an event taking place as an undercard fight on the Gervonta Davis-Ryan Garcia bout back in April at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. Without the accompanying six-figure payday, the Ghanaian-born Agbeko and his wife couldn't move from Nashville to Las Vegas as they had planned. The veteran super middleweight couldn't fight either because the Nevada State Athletic Commission denied his application for a license. He said, "I was genuinely concerned about my health first," Agbeko told BoxingScene.com, "and I was bummed at the fact that I was missing out on this great opportunity." Fearful that his career could end at just 31 years of age, Agbeko sought a second opinion in Las Vegas and then a third opinion back in Nashville. Both doctors cleared Agbeko to box because they didn't detect the saccular brain aneurysm that the initial doctor in Las Vegas thought could rupture from trauma. Once a Nashville-based neurologist sent her findings to the NSAC, Agbeko, whose record, by the way, is 28-2, 22 knockouts, was granted a license in early May, just a couple of weeks after Morrell demolished Agbeko's late replacement, Brazil's Yamaguchi Falcao, in the first round. So 7 months later, Agbeko shot at Morrell's WBA secondary super middleweight title has been rescheduled, taking place upcoming at the Armory in Minneapolis. Their 12-round, 168-pound bout is the main event of a Showtime Championship Boxing triple header. Starts at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. I've talked about it all week, which will mark the end of the premium cable network's 37-year run in the sport. For Agbeko, though, this understandably feels like a new beginning. "I definitely felt like a vindication, especially after being hit with the brain aneurysm claim," said Agbeko. "For anyone, that would pretty much mean their career is over. But for me personally, for my health, I was very concerned because that's a very serious issue. So I've been cleared of that, and to find myself back in this position, it just feels great. Initially, I was angry and bitter just because I've been through so many emotions. At the time, my wife and I were in the process of moving to Las Vegas too, so it just messed up a lot of things for us. Thankfully, everything's back on track, and this fight is just coming at the perfect time." Even after obtaining his license, Agbeko became disillusioned with boxing. He felt wronged by the above-mentioned ordeal and wondered whether he'd even ever receive an opportunity comparable to challenge a rising star like Morrell. Well, as I say, undefeated, 9-0, 8 knockouts. And it wasn't until Agbeko traveled to Canada in August to spar against several prospects that he began regaining his love for boxing. A few weeks later, Agbeko accepted a fight with Argentinian journeyman Bruno Rorne, 22-12, 19 knockouts, whom he stopped in the second round. And that was a fight that took place in Sioux City, Iowa. He said, "It took me a while to get back to training because I was very depressed. Like I said, we were in the middle of a move. My wife had to stay in Las Vegas while I came back to Nashville to take care of things. And there are a lot of things I had to take care of. The whole fight thing put us in a financial situation where I had to deal with a lot of other things to make up the money that I'd spent getting ready for the fight. So it really put me in a bad place mentally. And for months, I struggled with a lot. Odds makers have determined that Agbeko will also struggle with the powerful, skillful Morrell, who has been installed as a 14-1 favorite by DraftKings, by the way. Agbeko, who upset previously unbeaten prospect Isaiah Steen in October 2022, nevertheless believes he'll be too much for his 25-year-old opponent. I have a lot of respect for him, Agbeko said. I have friends who have been to camp with him and have sparred with him. I actually had a Cuban coach back when I was in Ghana in the amateurs. The head coach for the national team was Cuban, so I have a lot of respect just for Cuban boxing and what he represents. He's accomplished a lot very early on. I know he's a sound fighter, very technical. I do think, though, that they've given him a lot too early, and I feel like that's where my opportunity comes in, where I can capitalize. So I think he's a complete fighter. I have a lot of respect for him. I'm preparing for him accordingly. I just think that I'm better than him. I think he'll create problems for a lot of fighters, but I just think that, he doesn't have the tools yet to beat fighters at a certain level. Graham says, wow, what a fool. And I should have headlined this story, this entire episode, Boxing and Brains. Anyway, Teofimo Lopez versus Jamaine Ortiz in the works for February 8th in Las Vegas, screams the headline. WBO welterweight champ Lopez and lightweight Jamaine Ortiz have a fight in the works for Thursday, February 8th at Mandalay Bay in Las Vegas. The Lopez versus Ortiz fight has been finalized, according to Mike Coppinger of ESPN, and will be taking place 3 days before the Super Bowl. Former WBC and WBO 140-pound champ Jose Ramirez was first offered the fight, but opted not to take it. Another clash looking forward to in 2024, it seems Eddie Hearn is trying to make Gervonta Tank Davis and Devin Haney without a rehydration clause. Promoter Eddie Hearn says he expects Gervonta Davis and Devin Haney to fight in 2024 without a rehydration clause, making it an even playing field. Hearn feels there's no need for a rehydration clause if the Davis-Haney fight will be for Haney's WBC light welterweight title at 140. We'll see if Hearn changes his mind about the rehydration clause and catchweight issue if Tank refuses to fight without them. Haney isn't the A-side in negotiations with Tank Davis, and his WBC 140-pound belt might as well be a trinket because it's not important for the Baltimore native. So can Haney dictate the terms, asks BoxingNews24.com. Haney and his management can politely suggest to Tank that there shouldn't be any weight stipulations for the fight, but they'll likely lose the deal if they stand firm. If Gervonta, 29-0, 27 knockouts, will move up from 135 to challenge Haney for his 140-pound belt, then Hearn doesn't think it's needed. Tank likely feels different after learning of Haney rehydrating to 165 pounds last Saturday night for his fight with WBC champ Regis Prograis, which I mentioned and discussed yesterday. Beating an old and slow 35-year-old Prograis isn't enough to make Haney the A-side against Tank Davis, and Hearn needs to be clear on that. Tank's management, PBC, won't want to put him in a position where he's outweighed potentially by 20 to 30 pounds by 165-pound Haney, who should be fighting at welterweight or junior middleweight. Hearn would like Devin Haney to stay at 140 long enough to unify the titles against some of the older champions and fight Ryan Garcia. That could prove difficult for Haney to do because he's taking off a massive amount just to get down to 140. Rehydrating to 165 is an indication that Haney needs to move up to 147 or 154. Subriel Mateus is a great guy. We've got a lot of fights for him. Devin wants to fight all those guys. He should continue to chase the champions like he's doing. And that's definitely a potential fight for the future, said Hearn. I think it would be moving up to 147, suiting Haney, but I think he should stay at 140 for a little bit. He's moved up. He could easily be strong and fit at 147, and he's a young man with a lot of time on his side, concluded Hearn. So one fight that I want to just talk about very quickly, and it's not the Jake Paul versus Andre August fight. Jake Paul, he's 7-1. Andre August, a journeyman. They're going to fight at cruiserweight over 8 rounds, but fighting on their undercard. Shadisha Green, 13-0 versus Franchon Cruz Dezern, 8-2 in the super middleweight category, 10 rounds for the vacant WBC and WBA titles. And that, my friends, should be a great match, something to watch for. All right. Thanks very much for joining me. Appreciate it very much. Remember to like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and we'll see you later on when I join Mike Orr and a bunch of other people, I hope, for the Friday night panel taking place at 7 p.m. Eastern Time.